Hi everybody, welcome to the Moderness channel. In this video I will walk you through a score system that I use for kids because, we mothers are constantly victims of expectation versus reality situations. Just like those of hamburger ads, right? When you see a juicy and colorful hamburger in the ad, and what you got is just a pale and doubtful expiration date meal. I have been through this for several times, with kids, not only food. And who doesn't, right? As a good model/scale model enthusiast, I'm always looking for reviews of inbox or assembling about the kits I'm interested to build, especially the new fresh release. But during my model life, I have many times got super excited with a kit I saw in a box, checking the sprues, possible versions, and so on. Even talked to some of my model friends that also find that kit a piece of art, but in reality nobody has built one already. And sometimes what appears to be a great kit in the box turns into a bad kit during assembly. So after some huge disappointments, I never saw in-box kits the same way before. Keep some skepticism until I finish the whole assembly process to later say if it is in fact a good kit or not. So I developed my own score system to kits, starting from inbox to assembling, checking the most important items for me, and giving different weights for more or less important features. Okay then, let's start. There is one score for each main category, inbox and assembly. The overall kit score will be the average of these two scores. In each main category, there are sets of subcategories and its individual features. To all features, a punctual score ranging from 0 to 5 is given, being 0 the no-existent or worst case, and 5 the best scenario. When a feature is not applicable, like for example tracks for an aircraft, it's just not considered in the mean calculation. Different from score 0, which means something should exist but it's just not there. To each subcategory a weight is given, and the score for each category is the weighted average from subcategories. Maybe it sounds a little bit confusing at first, but stick with me and you'll understand what I mean. So, first category is inbox. In it, there are 3 subcategories: the overall quality, level of details, and instructions. Starting from overall quality, it features flash, injection gates, if they are too thick for small pieces for example, textures, plastic smoothness, some injection failures, and so on, seam lines. Sometimes small pieces turn to be useless if the seam line is too prominent. Plastic thickness, some parts need to be very thin to be realistic, and if the plastic is too thick, it just seems odd. Clear parts, if they are crystal clear, and even its thickness, especially for aircrafts. Details crispness. Sometimes the details exist, but they are just hard to see. The panel lines, if they are raised lines, engraved, too deep or too shallow, and also if they are correct according to some blueprints. And decals regarding the printing quality. Next subcategory is level of details, which features the texture, again if you notice in the previous subcategory, but now concerning to details like casting steel and anti-slip surface for example. Then rivets, bolts, fasteners, welds and flame cuts, wheels, exhausts, guns regarding machine guns and cannon barrels, pitot tubes and aerials, then ordnance like missiles, bombs, fuel tanks, then tracks, tools if they are pre-molded or separated, interior controls and features like side consoles, cables, levers and control panels, then seats and belts, base, line wheelbase and bomb base for example, bonus pieces like photo etched, resin and 3D pieces, And lastly, the decals details and versions, concerning to the amount of details in the decal sheets and the versions variety. And last subcategory is instructions with the printing quality, because even it's not a decisive feature, it is always nice to have a well-colored printed instructions. And then understandability, because even though experienced modelers can build almost an entire kit without the instructions aid, misleading or badly presented information always causes some kind of confusion. So the subcategories received weight according to my own perception of importance. For example, level of details received 55% of the total score, while overall quality 40% and instructions 5%. And this wraps up the inbox category score. Now moving to the assembling category. It comprises the subcategory assembling, how creative am I, right? Featuring the fitting, like the presence of guiding elements, warped pieces, or too loose or too tight fitting. Then gaps/filling necessity, because it's a real pain when you have to fill some trenches or send tons of plastics and lose some details in the process, then you know where it goes, right? And finally, engineering and how the parts come together. If the joints are in a good position to mimic panel lines or in an easy place to sand, and that's kind of stuff. And finally, some miscellaneous features like the plastic workability, if it is brittle, soft, easy to sand, to glue, and so on. Then decals quality regarding its stiffness, film thickness, if it sets easily or demands gallons of softener to get in place. And lastly, the model overall accuracy. The weight distribution is 6% for assembling, 20% for decals quality, 5% for plastic workability, and 15% overall accuracy. You may be thinking, why such a low weight for overall accuracy? As it's kind of a big deal. But as I am not an expert in all machines and subjects, it would not be a fair score if I would be super critic with an aircraft that I know all details, for example, maybe giving a bad score to a quite nice kit, and after that applying the same method to some other aircraft that I'm not that familiar, and give a good score to a not so good kit only because I am not that expert on it. I always do some research before starting the kit, but it is far from becoming a reference on the subject. So in this way I set the weight for kit's accuracy. As long as the kit doesn't appear to be an abomination, I think this is the most fair way. Now, to give an example, I will apply this score method to the ClearProp Key 51 Sonia that appeared in the first video. In box, the kit seemed really incredible. Tons of details, all riveted surface, the best interior out of the box that I have ever seen so far, and very accurate according to some blueprints and references that I have at the time. However, there were some low scores for seam lines, like some pieces had too much offsets, turning a circular section to oval ones, which made, for example, the gun barrels useless. And also the clear parts, that despite being crystal clear, they were too thick and looked kind of odd in the 7-second scale. I also didn't like the ordnance that came with the kit, but even though the inbox score is a 4.5 out of 5, which is a really good score. I was very excited to build it, but during the assembling I faced many fitting problems, some even major problems like huge gaps and very tight fitting that demanded a lot of sanding and elbow grease. The assembling was given a 4.0 score, not bad actually, because the other features balanced the scale. And the final score for this kit is a 4.2 out of 5, still a really good kit. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this video. As the score will appear in the next videos, I wanted to show you how the score system was developed and how it works. Again, this is my own opinion on the kits I build, so it is definitely not an ultimate score system, and probably most modelers would make it differently. But at least it is a comparison basis for what you see in my videos. So I hope you like it. If so, hit the like button and see you in the next time. Cheers!